Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and I happen to have the wonderful and lovely assistant, Dolores. Hi, Dolores.
Hi, Dolores. How are you?
She always wants to be off camera. I don't know why. She's so dang adorable. I wish you could see her. But anyway, we just got back from a really cool trip, and I kind of want to talk about it because this is Stuff I Heard, and I want you guys to know that there is a cool place outside of Atlanta called Alpharetta, very busy suburb, I would say, of
Yeah, very.
Atlanta. And it's it was the venue for us to go and see one of our friend's sons get married.
Yeah.
So very lovely trip. I I don't know if I'd ever been to Alpharetta. I'd been north of there to Lawrenceville, but I'd never been to Alpharetta.
I don't think I've
Um,
ever been to Alpharetta, but
to me, a lot of it resembled Southern California in the suburb area.
it's very pretty.
Very,
Very,
very
very
pretty.
pretty.
Yeah. You could tell that a lot of people in Atlanta are doing well in life.
Most definitely. Wow, I'd like to know what some of those people do for a living.
Yeah.
Some of those houses were unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I know that a lot of industry has moved to Atlanta, and we've seen that a lot of movies and television shows are now being made in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
Production companies have moved to Atlanta.
maybe it's the effect of Hollywood moving to
Maybe,
Atlanta.
maybe.
But yeah, we
Not only is it busy, but it is there's a lot of money there.
yeah, and very crowded.
Very crowded.
Our trip began on Friday. We drove in the rain, torrential rain. I don't know why, but we were
You
getting
drove in the
a
rain. I rode the
bunch of
rain.
rain. You did a great job riding.
I did.
I only heard you suck air like four times. One of those things.
Oh man, those lanes are just so narrow.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
and
mean, even going through Columbia from here, they are doing a lot of work on I-20 and I-26
yeah,
in Columbia.
yeah. I think the goal was for them to widen 26 to at least three lanes the entire way from Charleston to Greenville.
It needs it,
Yeah,
most definitely.
absolutely. There's too much industry going that way, and from the port to Greenville with the additive of Boeing and BMW and Volvo and all these companies that have moved up into the upstate and with supply all up and down the 26 corridor. I mean, it's just,
Too bad we can't get that going on with I-95.
yeah, well, people forget about I-95 unless they want to go to Florida. And then they
Right.
just have to pay for the road damage that it does to their car because they just won't repair it. So that's fun.
Well, it's not just so much how bad of a shape the road is in on 95, it is the traffic.
Yeah. And the fact that most of it's two lane.
State of South Carolina.
Yeah,
Once you
and
get
just
into
in South
Georgia,
Carolina. Yeah.
once you get into Georgia, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Virginia, parts of, whatever.
But we've had a lot of rain. I mean, we've had a lot of unseasonably different spring this spring. I mean,
Yeah.
this weather for especially the last month, we have had a lot of rain, and of course, we got to experience that on the whole drive to the Alpharetta, Georgia.
And almost the entire trip except for the wedding time.
Yeah, actually, and I guess if you're gonna, I mean, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy for the couple and all of us that were at the wedding that they got to have the wedding. They wanted outdoors. The weather cooperated 100% when it came, for that period of time. It did rain last night at the reception, but everybody was indoors, and I'm sure the bride and groom both were extremely thrilled that it held off long enough for
Yeah.
them to get married.
The event, Ben and Anna's wedding was held at Three Birches.
It's a wedding. Well, I guess it would
It's a
be like
wedding venue.
not
Yeah.
necessarily wedding. You could do other things there. I mean, it's like an
It says
event.
event venue.
There you go.
Yeah.
Event venue.
5 out of 5 stars as far as
Oh, it
Wedding
was
Wire.
beautiful. Beautiful.
4.9 out of 5 on Facebook and 4.9 out of 5 on the Knot. I don't know what the Knot is.
The Knot is a wedding website where if you are in the process of getting married, you register there and you can list everything about your wedding for your guest. Guests do not have to just you can go there and see everything. You can see everything about the bridal parties, the groom's side of the you can see everything. And they list their
Yeah.
registries there, or you can RSVP through that. I mean,
I saw a
it's
cabin.
something I've gotten accustomed to in the last few years because more and more people
Yeah.
are using it.
Yeah. We did see a cabin on premises, and from my understanding, that's a place where the wedding party could stay,
I think so, yeah.
the bride and their family, or the whole bridal party,
Which this
perhaps.
wedding was a little bit different in the sense that it was just the bride and groom. They did not have the larger type wedding like most people do nowadays with the multiple bridesmaids and groomsmen. This couple chose not to do that. They chose to be just the two of them. And it was very quaint. It was very, I mean, it was not a lot. It was not an enormous amount of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there was, don't get
Well,
me wrong, there
there's
was,
still probably 60, 70
oh
people.
yeah, if not maybe closer to 100.
Yeah.
Because we had, how many tables? There was at least 13 or 14 tables,
Yeah. With
and then
eight
each
each.
table had eight.
Yeah.
Was it? I think it was eight people.
I think
You
it
know,
was eight. Yeah.
so I mean, it was not a small wedding when it comes to that. They just chose to do something very simple and very personal
Hmm.
for their actual ceremony. The brother of the bride married them, which was that was very fitting. He did a great job.
He held it together.
He did.
He started getting teared up in the beginning, and I was like, oh no, oh no, he's gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it, and we're all gonna cry.
But it was beautiful. I mean, not only was the grounds where the wedding took place, the was gorgeous. I thought that was really pretty. We had the wedding started. I think it was at like 4:30. It was
Mhm.
very intimate. But the one thing about this wedding that I had never seen before was at the end when the bride and groom walked back down the aisle that they stopped at the end of the aisle before they exited the little top venue because we were all sitting outdoors, and he dipped her and kissed her, and we did not know until later. We had witnessed while we were there getting ready for the ceremony that there was a woman that was there with an easel and she was painting, and she was actually painting the venue or the area where you could tell that that's where the bride and groom was going to stand to exchange their vows. And no, I don't know that I even questioned why she was doing that, but you could tell that that's what she was doing, was she was painting the actual venue. But as the when the ceremony ended and the bride and groom walked back down the aisle, he stopped, dipped her, kissed her, and we did not know until later on during the cocktail hour that the painter was actually painting them into that picture. That was the most unique thing. Now, I'm sure that's probably something that's more common nowadays, but
Yeah.
we don't go to a lot of weddings. I don't know that people in general go to a mass amount of weddings, but that was something that I had never seen before that I thought was the most unique thing. It was absolutely gorgeous. I guess by the time we were ready, because we had like a cocktail hour where everybody had hors d'oeuvres and cocktails while the bride and groom and the families were having their pictures made. And everybody was kind of watching this woman paint this whole time this was going on. And by the time the reception was probably, I don't even know, we probably were what, about halfway through, and you could see that she was getting finished with it. I mean, it was really pretty.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure whose idea that was. Probably the
Probably
bride.
Anna's. Yeah.
But if somebody gifted that to them,
Yeah.
or if her parents made sure that that was part of her wedding, that by far is probably one of the most unique things I have ever seen.
Hmm.
Thoughtful things I've ever seen.
Yeah. And the we somebody talked to the lady. I remember the conversation happening where she said that she got started because her daughter was a wedding photographer,
Right.
and she said she'd been doing it for about 4 years now and just stays as busy as she can be
So I
because of
take it
it.
this woman would have already been like a really good
Yeah.
painter
Oh yeah.
anyway. I mean, you could
Yeah.
tell she was very artistic, very, very
Yeah.
good at that. And I mean, that is just a very brilliant idea to think, okay, let me take one of these wedding pictures. And maybe that's what she had done in the past, was maybe she had taken wedding photos and turned them into a canvas painting, but then come up with the idea of, why don't I do this while I'm actually at the wedding and let this be part of their wedding?
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that is just so amazing.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say that she made a comment, the painter did, that she's been, you said 4 years, right? And she is beyond busy.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, Well, you think about the fact that, being young like that and from that area, for work, they probably went to weddings where that was going on. And
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure somebody saw it and like word of mouth, being like, oh, you got to check
Oh
this
yeah,
out. This is
yeah.
amazing. But yeah, I was blown away by what a neat little touch it was to have, and also a good keepsake to have afterwards,
Yeah,
to
most
have as
definitely.
part of your memorabilia of the day. But we had lots of good food and
It was great. It was great. I really thought that, like I say, Cheryl, this was a good friend of ours' son that was getting married, and this was her younger son. Her older son got married in September, and I think we talked about that a little bit because we actually went out to New
New
Orleans,
Orleans.
Baton Rouge,
Hmm.
and their wedding was totally different than Ben and Anna's. But I really like the fact that Ben and Anna, they made it more about them and not, they didn't involve a lot of other people. Like I said, no bridesmaids, no groomsmen, nobody having to pay extra money to buy the dresses and shoes and all those kind of things. I mean, I just think
The
that is
ceremony of getting set up and doing all
right,
that, and
right.
yeah.
I just think that was uh, very different for nowadays time, and I just thought it was very unique to them.
Well, and also, once the music started, we noticed that they were dancing a lot, and someone asked the question, "Oh, they must have taken dance lessons because this is like a routine
Right.
they've learned." And it was great. It was so much fun to watch. Of course, I don't dance, sorry, but beautiful to watch. I'm glad that you had fun
Yeah.
dancing with everybody, and it was fun to see everybody having a good time. But yeah,
But now,
really
yesterday
good.
morning, we had to go from Alpharetta over to Atlanta Airport to pick up
We
our friend
did.
Danny.
We did.
And we actually decided to stop at the Battery, which is where the Braves. The name of the park is called. I've actually looked it up. It's called Truist.
Yeah, which is a
Truist.
bank. Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's That's where
Truist
it's at.
Bank.
Truist Bank. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's called Truist Park, and
Hmm.
that's where the Braves play. That's
And then
their new stadium,
all of the stuff around it is called the
the
Battery.
Battery.
Yeah.
We actually went down there. The Braves were playing in town this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and today, or this evening, they're playing the San Diego Padres, I
Hmm.
think. We wanted to go to a game. It just didn't work out with our schedule because we were kind of in and out of town quickly before this wedding. We really didn't want to take off
Yeah.
any vacation time for it, but we decided while we went down and walked that area, it is absolutely gorgeous. They have done a fantastic job of a lot of little neat, unique looking little shops,
A lot of
a lot of
restaurants, a lot of
restaurants.
bars, a lot of places to kind of pop in and go shopping for some stuff. And I was amazed with the ease of getting in and out of there because as busy as it seems like it can be, you'd expect that kind of area to be very hard to get in and out of, but it was simple.
But now we were also there on a Saturday morning before.
Yeah,
I mean, the game wasn't until later
yeah.
yesterday.
But I was a little intimidated by the fact that I thought we'd pull in there and suddenly we'd be lost. Like we'd be like, where do we go? I don't understand. Where's the parking garage? Where's this? Where's that? And
Yeah.
everything was super easy to figure out.
I want to say we parked in a parking garage, and we were only there for under 2 hours,
Yeah,
right? Because they actually give you the first 2 hours of parking free.
yeah,
But we were not actually able to go into the stadium, but we were able to walk to we could see part of the stadium. We
yeah.
had some cocktails, well, we had a couple of cocktails and appetizers sitting there
At the
right
Yard
out,
House.
yeah, right outside of the stadium.
And the weather was beautiful right then. It wasn't raining. I mean, there may have been a little misty rain, but we were under a cover, and it was cool to sit there and just people watch.
We
And
were impressed enough that we have decided while we
we were
were
going
sitting
back.
there that
Yeah,
we're going back. We're actually
yeah,
going to do a game the first Saturday in August.
yeah,
There are several hotels. Actually, there's a good many hotels that's within a mile,
yeah.
and we have said that if we can keep it under a mile, that we'll walk to the game and walk back because I mean, we can handle. No, anybody can handle a
Sure,
mile,
sure.
but that
Well,
I'm so excited for that.
I'd also talked to my brother, of course, has been to a few games there, and he said that there's a lot of apps out there right now where you can buy game day tickets for at a fraction of the price. I think we actually checked one of them for that Friday night when we got into town, and we're like, oh look, we could have gone to the game for $6. So I mean, it's possible to last minute to go to a game, especially in the earlier part of the season and game of time.
Well, I'm not sure
Look
how.
online, check out some prices, and you could find a ticket that's very affordable to go to a baseball game and see them play. It's
Well, I mean,
very accessible.
if we're going in all the first weekend in August, I don't know when they'll play. I honestly do not know when the playoffs are
Right.
for
And
for Major League
nowadays,
Baseball.
I mean, they used to say October, but now it's running in November,
I've never been to a Major League Baseball game,
which is
and
shocking.
honestly, I don't. I want to just go in and experience it. I
Yeah,
really don't care where we get tickets.
yeah,
I have no desire to pay the big bucks to sit at home behind home plate or even anywhere close to that
yeah.
because I don't want. I mean, I want to go for the experience more than
Sure,
anything
sure.
because it just looks like it would be so much fun.
Yeah.
And especially if we have a hotel within walking distance. Once that game is over and you can take your time and walk back to your hotel room, that would have to be nice not to have to deal with the traffic trying to get out of there.
Well, the traffic going down was rough mainly because of the weather and the construction. You know,
You mean going from here to Alpharetta?
going from here to
Yeah.
Alpharetta. But if you're in that area and you're heading to the game, it's pretty easy to access how to get there. If you do a little looking on Google Maps, you can tell which lane you need to be in on the 3-lane turn and kind of go
Yeah.
from there. But I want to talk about the airport too, because we had to go pick up a friend of ours at the airport before that.
Which, when you think about it, or say it, Atlanta International, what is it called?
Yeah, Hartfield.
Hartsfield International.
Yeah,
That hotel is intimidating.
it,
It is large.
airport.
Airport. I'm sorry. What did I say?
Hotel.
I'm sorry.
That
Airport.
hotel is
That
is
hotel,
very intimidating. Yes.
and we've only drove into there one time. I want to say when we flew to Hawaii, we drove to Atlanta to
Yeah.
get a non-stop from Atlanta to Honolulu.
We did a park and ride situation where
We had to park 40
we
miles
had to
away.
park for a week, and it was like a
Yeah.
thing where if you stayed for a week, you could get a special parking at a reduced price, but then they had to bus you in, which was about a 25-minute drive from wherever the
Well, I think
car
we
was
were parked
parked.
for like 12 days total or something like that.
We were like in a town over. It seemed like it was just so far away.
I was not expecting, I was a little worried that going over to pick Danny up yesterday morning was going to be, it's going to take us way longer than what it did.
I was more concerned about the fact of having to loop around, that it wouldn't be easy to figure out. And I'm glad we stopped and asked that guy because that was helpful.
Yeah.
But
she flew, Danny had to fly in because he could not. We actually left at what, lunch-ish or so on Friday. Me, you, and Lori headed up that way.
Danny had to work.
So Danny had to work till like 5 o'clock.
Saturday.
Yeah. So we knew that if we waited for him to get off work, we were going to be midnight, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. getting into Alpharetta. So it was I guess it wasn't super expensive for him to fly from Florence to Charlotte to Atlanta, and he was in Atlanta by 10:30 Saturday morning, and we were there to pick him up. And it went better than I thought. I mean, we only had to circle the airport one time, and like you said, with the guys' help that told us where to go, stay to the left, and it didn't take you and Lori together and you were even driving, but of course, moving through the airport traffic, we were moving a lot slower.
Yeah, and a lot of airports, they have things that you can tell are the drop off pickup area for certain flights or certain carriers, and Atlanta is the home base for Delta. So if anybody's thinking about going and picking up somebody from that airport, just know that the south terminal is for Delta and the north terminal is for everybody else. So if you're dropping off or picking up, that's what you want to keep in mind. So it wasn't necessarily labeled on our path in from the direction we came, but when we looped around, it was on a different board that actually spelled that out. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I was going to say, years ago when we flew to Hawaii from there, we actually, I don't know that we even paid attention to that, but I guess it's because
we're on a bus.
We parked the car and then they shuttled us into the right terminal.
Yeah. So, and also we were on the international, which is, I think, a different one.
Right. No, not international, going to Hawaii. We're still inside the States. It's not considered international.
You gotta have the big planes, the big.
Well, that may be true, but that may be true, but I don't think you have to do international. You don't have to clear customs when you do that.
That's true. That's true. But yeah,
that turned out to be way better. That when we actually had more time at going to the Battery than what we thought, because we thought it was going to take more time to pick up Danny.
And there's a lot of people, like I've talked to people at work who talk about driving in Atlanta, and they were intimidated by driving in Atlanta. And I don't think it's necessarily that you have to be intimidated. It's pay attention to your signs, and when traffic's going a little too fast for you, try to merge over to the right lane and merge your way over to the slower lanes. You can get around.
It does move, though. God,
it does move.
It is amazing to see what 6, 7. I mean, sometimes some of those
8 lanes.
eight
Yeah.
lanes, because some of the traffic that was going off the interstate to a different
Yeah.
direction would be 2 and 3 lanes going off or merging in.
Yeah. And if you're paying attention though, there are exits sometimes on the left or right. So you got to like really pay attention to what you're doing. And listen, GPSs nowadays are super helpful, and you just got to pay attention to listen because they'll tell you you want to be in the second to left lane because the right lane is an exit, and you're like, what? What'd she say? Um, so you can navigate that area pretty well. If you feel
You
nervous
can.
about
I
it,
don't know that I could.
well, yeah,
I just don't know that I could.
I don't know. I think that there's a lot in life that people are afraid to do just because they've never done it. And driving shouldn't be something people are afraid to do. But like you said, it's a comfort level.
I'm afraid, it's not that I'm afraid that I can't follow the directions. The part that scares me to death, wigs me out, however you want to say it, is doing that at 80 miles an hour. I mean, there is nobody out there doing less than 80 miles an hour as
I was like 77, 78 a
when
few
it's not
times.
when it's not stopped or moving bumper to bumper. It moves 80 miles. If 80 miles an hour is slow.
Yeah,
Now, to me, that is what makes it intimidating.
not really. It was 78, 77 about most of the drive.
And that is,
But like I said, you pay attention. You got to keep your eyes on swivel. You really can't daydream or look around and be like, oh, look at that building. You got to look at the road. You got to look at the signs, and you got to know where you're
now
going.
I've never driven. Okay, Atlanta is
Uh-huh.
to me a big city. I
Hmm.
mean, I grew up in this area with Atlanta being like the major city that that's the major city in
Hmm.
this in the southeast.
Sure.
Is LA similar, or
No, LA sucks.
is it even bigger?
It has more people, and they don't go anywhere. So instead of you going 80, you're not moving.
Why is that? Is it their infra? Is it their roads? Is Atlanta roads better that
It's
everybody can move 80 miles an
no,
hour?
no. It's the fact that there's over 35 million undocumented people living there on top of the 35 million documented people living there. It's just too many people in one city. It's just too much. They just can't handle it. And everybody wants to drive a car instead of using public transportation. And they've done a poor job about giving public transportation that people would prefer. I mean, Atlanta's done a great job with the MARTA system. In LA, I think they're just now starting to open up a train type
Well, I
situation.
mean, I've never driven. We did. You actually drove when we went from Anaheim up to the Pacific Coast Highway, and I
Mhm.
remember what Ford we went maybe.
Well, you wanted to go sightseeing in LA, and I
I know.
said no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I was
I
like,
mean,
I'm
we
I'm
did
putting
do
my
the
foot down. We're not
yeah.
sightseeing LA. That is torture.
Yeah.
That is sitting in a car all day long and just
We still did
breathing
that. I
exhaust
mean,
fumes.
we still did that on the interstate, and
Yeah.
I don't even remember what
Well, you
interstate
said
were we
you
on?
said when can we leave to avoid this? I said 3 a.m. You were like
Yeah,
no, and I
yeah.
said okay. We're sitting in traffic all day,
I mean,
and we did.
we did do the interstate part
We
of
went
LA.
78 miles in one day.
Yeah, yeah. We saw the Hollywood sign and the Scientology building, and that was
And in and out.
an In and Out burger
Yep. And we made it to Cambria. God bless us.
in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. We made it through Malibu. And that was it. And that was without stopping in Malibu. And there's Malibu. Come on, we gotta keep going. We gotta find a hotel.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't do that again, but
I would do it differently. Uh, I would I would definitely I would like to stay in Cambria more than one day. That was a beautiful little town on the coast. But yeah, I mean LA is just different. There's just an influx of people. The
well,
thing that people used to say when I was out there is no one's born there. It's all these people that move there because they want to be in Hollywood. And they want to be famous. And they want to make their mark. And everybody you come into contact with who's waiting tables is like an inspiring actor, and they look like they just jumped off of a magazine. You're like, golly, how are people this pretty on everyday basis? And it's just, it's a lot of hopes and dreams, and didn't all pan out. But man, there's a ton of people there. Now,
I think
driving there versus like New York to me is a lot like Atlanta. It's a lot of chaos and a lot of movement and a lot of hustle bustle. Let's go. But New York happens very quickly because if you don't get off to get to the city, you've missed it. Like it's here's the city, do your thing. This is where you get off of this part. This is where you get off of that part, and that's it.
yeah, in which we actually have
And
done that before
Atlanta,
too.
Atlanta has the addition of sprawl. So it's not just the chaos of the business, but it's the sprawl of the business because it has more land. So it's more like kind of like Dallas. Dallas is real similar.
I've never driven. I mean, I've been to Dallas, but actually, when I was there, I did a training class out there. Somebody else did the driving. So,
I would say Dallas is probably less busy. I mean, it's a metropolis, but Atlanta being where it's at
but
is
now it's also
just
been a long time since you
true,
drove out there.
true. But it is called Hotlanta for a reason. It's hot. A lot of
But
things going
now,
on.
speaking of driving and seeing different things, and that's what we were talking about is the fact that we just did
Hmm.
a weekend adventure to somewhere we had never been before. And while we were there, we decided that we are going to go back and see a Braves game. But this morning, I actually was on. I was actually yeah. Okay, let's talk about where we ate breakfast this morning. So
Yeah, I want to
yeah,
talk about that.
okay.
So I looked this place up. It's called Maple Street Biscuit Company.
Actually, I found this when we knew we were going to be staying in Alpharetta because I Googled like brunch places. Because I knew on Sunday morning we would be getting up, checking out of the hotel, and we would need to drive back to Florence. And I was like, well, we'll need to get something to eat before we hit the road. So let's find something, not a chain. We try hard not to do chain restaurants when we go to these different places. And I Googled that and I was like, okay, I screenshot it, sent it to Lori, and I was like, what do you think of this place? And she's like, yeah, let's remember this for whenever we're
And then you forgot it.
and then when we were in Alpharetta. So last night when we left the wedding, going back to our hotel, we were like, well, where are we going to eat tomorrow when we check out? And no, I was like, I don't know, I can't remember. So this morning I actually found this place again. Right, we looked it up, and I was like, I know it was a biscuit
I
place.
found it.
I was like,
I started naming things on that were around, and all of a sudden that popped up, and I was like, "What about this one?"
that
That was it.
was it.
Yeah. So I looked them up on the internet because I wanted to see like what was the deal, what's the story. Apparently, they got started in 2012 by two guys in Jacksonville, Florida, and they expanded out of the Florida area, headed towards Chattanooga in 2014. In 2016, they were featured on the Food Network. They had a biscuit, one of those gourmet biscuit that's like this high, I mean, giant thing called the Squawking Goat. It was seen as a guilty pleasure. I actually saw that on the menu today. I mean, it's got like goat cheese and
I didn't know that it was called. Was it called
the
that? I
Squawking
remember
Goat.
seeing
Yeah.
the one with the goat cheese.
And then in 2019, apparently they got bought out by Cracker Barrel.
No
And
way.
yeah, it says Cracker Barrel brings Maple Street on board, providing a new level of industry expertise. Then they partnershiped in 2022 with a coffee company called Muletown Coffee, making small batch roasters and all around cool guys, it says.
Well, the coffee was great this morning.
So they have a thing on here with a map, and they're actually in Myrtle Beach.
No way.
Yep. And Charleston. They're all over the place, man. I was like, wow, this is awesome.
So we didn't get like a little hometown unique
Yeah, we kind of
brunch
did.
place. It was really
We
good.
kind of
It
did.
was, and it was busy. Now we actually hit it at a great time. We were able to walk in, grab our menus, look at
Look,
what we wanted. Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know how many they have. It looks like 20 or 30 or so. But yeah, they're in Myrtle Beach and all over the places we go. Amazingly, there's one in Charlotte.
It was a walk in, grab the menu, decide what you want, walk to the counter and order, and then you sit down and they call your name slash whatever it is they decide for the day. Apparently they ask a question.
Yeah, they asked me. They said, if you were reincarnated, what animal would you like to come back as? And I was like, what? I just want breakfast. What are you asking me this for? I was like, I don't know, maybe a whale. And she was like, a whale? I was like, yeah. She goes, why a whale? I was like, I don't know, because whales are huge and they go everywhere around the globe and you get to see stuff that nobody else can see. And she was like, cool answer. Okay. And I was like, why didn't she ask me that? And all of a sudden I heard a guy behind the counter go, lion, lion. And I was like, did he say lion?
Yeah, apparently they don't call
And
people's names. They call,
they,
and we were told that it's a different question every day.
yep,
They change the question.
yep.
So
So I really missed my opportunity to have somebody say out loud, platypus, platypus.
we did hear somebody say sloth.
Sloth,
Sloth.
yeah. And Danny was before us, and he said he had told him dog, and they apparently they get dog a lot. And they said, "What's your favorite kind of dog?" He said, "Yorkie."
Yorkie.
So out loud, Yorkie. He goes, "That's me."
Yeah. Or alligator.
Yep. Bear.
Yeah. So,
Bull.
bull. Yeah,
Yeah.
We heard a lot of different ones. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. It was fantastic.
The people were real friendly. The food was really fantastic. I got some kind of biscuit with some kind of gravy on it that was a little bit spicy. Had fried chicken, fresh fried chicken. They asked me how I wanted my egg. I said over easy. Some cheese, bacon, and it was so
Yeah.
good. And
I
mine
want to
was
say everybody at the table, there was four of us, ordered a little something different.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Danny had kind of what you had, except for he had biscuits and gravy with the eggs on top over easy, and then I think he had bacon.
Mm-hmm,
Lori did the French toast, which
mm-hmm.
looked amazing, or maybe it was French toast waffles. I'm not really sure. Um, all of us had a different type of coffee, which mine was really good. Well, you had
I had
tea.
sweet
Yeah,
tea.
I had coffee. It was really good. And I had just a chicken. It's just well, actually, mine was called
Yeah, the farmer.
the farmer, and it was a biscuit with apple butter and a piece of chicken, which the chicken was really good. I guess it was like a skinless boneless chicken breast that had been breaded and fried, and then bacon and cheese. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah,
I've only eaten that all day, and I doubt very seriously I will need anything else to eat. It
apple butter, fried chicken, bacon, and cheddar.
was really
Okay, the squawking goat, as listed on Food Network, is fried chicken, goat cheese, and medallion pepper jelly. Hmm,
yeah, great
interesting.
place. And you're going back in a couple weeks for a comedy show, so you're
Nope,
gonna nope.
nope, nope. I'm going there to see. Who am I going to see?
I have no idea.
I'm blanking for a second. The music guy. What the? Tyler Childers. Tyler Childers. How
Is that
about
a
that?
concert or is it a
It's a
comedy?
he's a musical superstar.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But anyway, are you gonna eat at the
He does music that you hear Post Malone and Chris Stapleton and all these top guys, Luke Combs, they're singing his songs a lot of times. He is really, really good. Tyler Childers. See you there, June 8th.
so are you gonna eat at the sorry,
What are you doing?
I don't
Are
know.
you trying to sabotage me?
I'm trying to.
Why are you playing with the thing there?
Are you going to the Maple Street Biscuit
I'm
Company?
gonna try to talk Alex into it. I
Okay.
don't think it'll take much once he
No.
sees these pictures. He's gonna be like, I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in.
I would
Yeah.
go back there in a heartbeat. Not to mention the fact that it was in a beautiful area of town.
My brother loves some good food just like
Yeah.
I do. And if I show him this stuff, he's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm in there,
Yeah.
dude. Let's do it. Let's do it."
Okay. All right. So good place to eat. Go there.
Wait, I want to see her French toast thing. Oh, did she get the biscuit and French toast?
I have no idea.
Did it like that
I don't know.
with strawberries?
No, no, I don't think they had strawberry on.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's
I
fantastic.
found an article this morning
You did?
when I was trying to find a place to eat breakfast at this morning when we were in Alpheretta that I thought was very interesting.
Okay.
And I would like to see if we could cross these. I would like to make a bucket list of these places because we have really, I want to go to these places.
Are they places to eat?
No.
Oh.
7 of the most beautiful roads in the United States.
Roads.
Roads. Okay. And then this is in no particular order. Alaska Highway, Alaska.
Which is where?
In Alaska.
Well, that's a big state. It's bigger than
I
most
want
of
to
the
say that
United
it
States.
says that it starts, it probably goes some into Canada, but it talks about being able to see bald eagles, the Teton, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Tetlin, Tetlin National Wildlife Refuge. But like, that would definitely be a fun trip.
We'd have to
You would,
figure out how to get there.
you would have to fly there and rent a car, which is actually how we seen this next one. The next one on the list
We
of
could
7,
drive our new Jeep up there.
on the list of 7 is Highway 101 California, which is the Pacific Coast Highway.
It is.
And we did that trip years ago.
We
and
did that in a
hands down
Mustang.
would do that again.
Yeah.
We rented a vehicle in Anaheim, California, and we drove all the way up to San Francisco.
What if we started this time in Alaska and drove all the way down to Anaheim?
I would do that. You'd have to go through Washington and Oregon, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I've never been to Washington State. I've never seen the Oregon coast. And
You have been to Washington State. You've been to Seattle.
oh yeah, I mean, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean.
You've been to
I want to
Seattle.
see the Oregon coastline because I've seen pictures of it and it looks beautiful.
I've heard it's very pretty.
Where the cliffs have kind of like brought away some of that, or they've eroded the
Right.
kind of like just like Thailand except not tropical.
What, Oregon?
Yeah, the way the rocks pull away from the coast and it's kind of like cliff sides and
Well, yeah, except it's a
sections of
lot
rock
colder,
out in
right?
the ocean. Yeah, it looks like Thailand but colder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The third one is Hana, Hana,
Montana.
Hana Highway, Hawaii. It is on Maui. We actually thought about this when we went to Hawaii. Uh, we opted to do something totally different. I want to say this is in Maui's where we did Mount Haleakala, but this apparently is one of the most popular highways. It says that it has 617 switchbacks.
Does it say how long it is?
Let's see if it says how long it is.
No,
It
it's only
does
so
say,
big.
it says that it was Hawaiians first paved the road with lava blocks,
Mm.
and that it has 617 switchbacks, goes through bamboo forest. I mean, I've heard a lot of it. It is definitely a top tourist attraction.
With that fire they had, I wonder if parts of that may be closed
Now
right now.
now I'm not sure. Like I said, now this is an article that was on Google,
Yeah.
but it is from the Smithsonian Magazine.
Well, I mean, anytime you want me to go to Hawaii, I'm on board.
In most
I
definitely.
mean, if you just find some money laying around.
Now here's one I want to go. Go into the Sun Road, Montana.
Okay.
And it actually goes through Montana's Glacier National Park. I want to go to Montana. I'm gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Oh yeah.
I would love to plan a trip out there.
Give me land, lots of land.
What is that called? Big Sky Country?
Big Sky.
Country.
Yep.
That would be a neat trip to have a fly into a destination, rent a car, or rent a vehicle. It doesn't have to necessarily be a car. It could be a like a SUV of some type if you were doing it with several other couples. But that would be fun to do. Stay in some different places, start at maybe at the top of the state or even at the bottom and drive up and fly out of a totally different airport back home than what you flew into. Kind of like we did that with
Yeah.
with the California trip. We flew into Anaheim and then we flew out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
That would be a great trip to do some of these states that we would like to see.
Yeah.
And here's one that would be fun too. I think all of these would be
I thought
fantastic.
Custer was really pretty. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trails of the Ancients. It is a highway that goes through Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. Now that would be a great week. That would be fun.
Aren't they in a square? Yeah. Aren't they like the four squares?
Maybe I say
Because I've seen
doesn't give
people.
them. It doesn't show them on the map in this article.
I've seen people go to the four square spot and like stand in all four. So maybe it's just like a route that goes around all four. I don't know.
But that one would be.
I'm in for Utah too because I haven't gotten to see the cathedral canyons and all that
I've seen
stuff.
Bryce Canyon.
Yeah, I want to see all of that. The
Well, I've always
waterfalls
wanted to
and-
go to Moab and out there that way.
Sure.
Here's one that I had no idea that New Hampshire. It's Mount Washington Auto Road,
Okay.
New Hampshire,
Okay.
and so that one would be a little different. It says that it is America's oldest man-made. It's the auto road that is billed as America's oldest man-made attraction, which seems a little different.
Well, I mean, you're in the Appalachian Mountains there, so you're going to see a lot of greenery, rolling mountains, and
That's the Appalachians up there.
yeah, it runs
Oh,
from
okay.
Georgia to Maine.
It says the
Yeah.
construction began on the road during the presidency of Franklin Pierce, with work completing during Lincoln's first term.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Now here's one that's closer that we are definitely going to do this one soon. Overseas Highway, Florida. And that is the road that goes from the end of Florida all the way down to Key West.
All this sounds like a really great reason to have a Jeep.
It sounds like these are great vacations to plan.
We could take the roof off and, you know.
I want to, and I
Have
have
our
said
hair
this, now this
blowing in
is
the
one
wind.
that I have wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to plan a trip where we fly into Miami.
Okay.
I know Miami's busy, but you fly into Miami, you rent a car, you get out of Miami.
Yeah.
And you drive, you drive somewhere about down to one of those islands or one of those stops that is before you get to Key West. I don't know that I necessarily want to stay in Key West for a long period, like the whole week. But I
Yeah,
would, because we've been to Key West. Key West is beautiful, but
that's
it's very
true.
tiny. I would love to just explore some of those other islands that are between Florida, all the bottom of Florida, all the way down to the Keys.
Okay.
I guess those would be what the Keys,
Yeah,
the different islands is why
yeah.
they call them.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically all a pathway to get to the Keys.
Right, because I mean, I guess Key West would be
Is the destination.
is the last island
Yeah.
with all the other little islands being part of the Keys. But yeah, that those things, there are several of those items that just went on my bucket list of trips that I want to do,
Yeah.
that I want to do soon. Hopefully, maybe later this summer, late summer, maybe toward the end of September, we are talking about doing a trip to Washington, D.C. You and I have only been to Washington, D.C. once. We took kids. We want to go back without kids. And we're trying to put together a trip right now with some friends to get on an Amtrak train. We've never done a train ride before. We're going to start a train ride right here in Florence. Get on the Amtrak ride, the Amtrak train to Union Station in Washington, D.C. And find a hotel right there in D.C. where we can be close to their subway, metro, um, their metro. Is that what it's called? Metro, I think it is. But we can find a hotel really close to the metro so that we can walk just from the hotel to the metro and use their transportation for the. I think we're looking at maybe doing like a Wednesday through a Sunday, but just hit some of the main monuments and things that we want to see again. But we got some friends that want to go that's never been to DC before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to put that together, I think, the end of September.
I'm most excited about the fact that I won't be driving there.
Yes. Well, it would be fun. I mean, we've never done the train. I think we've
Well,
done,
because Virginia is just the traffic there is so bad.
well, we've looked at the price, and the price for a train trip is
Yeah.
very reasonably priced, and it's only like 6 or 7 hours.
Which is similar to what it is to drive.
It's like 6 hours driving, but then you definitely are gonna get stopped in traffic.
You'd be miserable in traffic.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd much rather take a train in.
But
Plus, then the quickly clack of the train tracks can make us think about Sheldon Cooper and you forgot your facts. Yeah, you forgot your
I've never been on a train, so I have no idea what to expect when it comes to that.
That's all I know is that from that movie, from that show.
I have looked at ticket prices and they are very reasonable.
Cool.
Plus the fact that we don't have to drive far. We have a Amtrak station right here in Florence.
Yes, we do. Which we've never been on.
So that's, hopefully we'll be able to cross that one off the
I
bucket
don't even
list.
know where we catch the train.
In
I know
Florence,
it's got to be like behind the cloud or
it
something.
is. It's right over in that area.
Yeah.
It's over behind my McLeod Hospital,
Yeah,
where
somewhere
their
over there.
station's at.
Somewhere over there.
But that's one of the things I want to cross off the bucket list this year is a train ride.
Okay.
So
Key West would take a little more finagling.
That one that one will be a week. That one wouldn't be just a Wednesday through
Yeah.
Sunday. We'll plan that one for a week. But we've got several friends, I think, that's never been to Key, and they said they've not ever been to Key West. We've only been to Key West for like a day when the cruise ship stopped there. We thoroughly enjoyed it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, the weird 6-person golf cart was odd because it was so long. It's hard to turn.
Well, there's a lot of golf carts there because that island is not a big island.
Right. But weirdly, I mean, our company used to deliver down there to Taco Bell's.
That's a long ride.
That's a long way to go to deliver Taco Bell's. Wow. So, but yeah.
So we got some trips coming up.
We got
Just
some
gotta get
trips.
some planned. I'm gonna do a Major League Baseball game this year.
Yeah.
And we're gonna ride a train this year.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to go to Disney.
Oh yeah, that's
I mean, that's a given.
That's a given.
Yeah, that's cool.
That we want to Disney regardless.
So, cool. All right. Well, I do want to talk about one thing. My grill died.
Yes, your girl died again.
My grill died again. And I've done a lot of content. We had to look it up online. Apparently, I've owned my grill for 5 years.
Which it's
We're
never
both
long.
surprised that it's only been 5 years.
Yes, it seems like it's been longer, but
We've
when you
definitely,
say only 5 years, that's not long for the trouble that you've had with it.
we've also cooked a ton of food on that thing.
Yes.
But Originally, I had this thing called a Grilla Grill, Grilla grill, and it was great. I just push the button, turns on, no problem, right? Then all of a sudden, we realized that not all pellets are created equal, and we
It'll
started
be the whole pellet
having
saga.
having to deal with pellets clogging up the auger. And so I had to learn how that operates and the proper way to care for pellets and the right place to store them and the right pellets to buy.
Also, we
And
live in a very high
we live in a
humidity
very
area.
humid area with a lot of rain and sometimes hurricanes. And so, yeah, a lot to learn with that.
You learn not to keep the pellets in the
Don't keep
oven.
them outside.
Right.
If you're gonna have them in, in something, have them in the garage. But yeah, so like people ask me sometimes, should I get a pellet grill? I'm like, do you want to learn about everything that has to do with pellets? Because it's gonna consume your life at some point because you're going to have to know everything about your grill. You're going to have to take it apart and put it back together at least once.
Is food cooked on a pellet grill better? Yes.
Yes,
Hands down, yes.
yes. Now that's the main reason I bought it because in the past we had a couple of gas grills and they worked great, but they tended to cook the food a little too hot. I mean, there was no way to like keep it cooler. And we wanted that slow smoke, that slow heat, to give us a better flavor for a lot of the foods we were eating. So, we pulled the trigger, I guess, 5 years ago, and the original
You.
board was great. See how I use we?
The original board was great, and somebody wanted to be able to control it from his phone. Now, I'm not saying
Somebody thought that the technology was finally here where we could use our Wi-Fi
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I
to
get that.
not only turn it on, but monitor it. Like if I'm out cutting the grass and I'm like, oh, I wonder how the grill's doing. I could look at my phone and it would tell me, oh, your meat's doing
Well, that
fine, your
was
temperature's
definitely
good.
needed. That is definitely needed whenever you're cooking a Boston butt that
Yeah,
takes multiple hours.
yeah.
It that there was nothing wrong with you wanting to upgrade to
Well,
that type of a control board.
but the switching of the control board is what changed everything
Yes.
because when I switched to the board, that was probably 2 years ago. That's when we started having some issues because the first board I put on, I hooked it up, went through the process, everything worked. I was like, great, this is awesome. And then about a month after doing that, the buttons on the actual thing wouldn't let me turn it on or off. I had to use my phone to turn it on or off. And I was like, well, that's odd, but okay, whatever. I'll just use my phone, I guess, and no big deal. And then we had an incident happen last July 4th where I unplugged it to take it to someone else's house and I couldn't get anything to turn on. Nothing would sync up to the Wi-Fi and nothing would work. And I was like, well, this is crap. And I brought it home and it still wouldn't turn on. And I was like, okay, I'm pissed off now. This isn't supposed to work like this. So I contacted them and they have a great Facebook group that talks about their customer service being really superb. And I have to agree, they've really helped me out a few times. I had an incident one time where I was looking at the doors on the bottom and I contacted them and I said, hey, I noticed I have some rust on my doors. Is it okay if I just spray this with Rust-Oleum or what do you recommend? And they wrote me back and they said, well, you should never have rust. We're just going to send you some new doors. And I was like, what? And they sent me new doors. And I was like, cool. And then I had a problem with this board and they were like, oh, no problem. We'll just send you a new board. And they sent me a new board. So been using the second Wi-Fi board
Since what? A little
since July 4th
well, I
weekend of
wouldn't
last
say
year.
well, it was a little after that because I mean
Like a
you
week
had
after that.
yeah, I mean it was a couple of weeks after that actually because you had to get in touch with them.
So
They had to send you a new one mid July.
so for about 10 months I've had this thing and
Right.
it's when I plugged it up and I hooked everything up, everything worked on the buttons on the actual device, but I couldn't get my Wi-Fi part to connect. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I just want to use the stupid button again. That made it so much simpler just to turn it on with my finger and just deal with it. So
since you put this board in it in July,
I've not been able to connect it to the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It wouldn't connect. And apparently during this time is when they got purchased. I looked online and they were bought by a bigger company called American Outdoor Brands.
Well, there goes your customer service.
Well, I thought so, but then I had this problem again where I was using it often, and we went out last weekend, Mother's Day weekend, to turn it on, and it didn't even turn on. And I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" I tested everything out to make sure everything was fine. Everything looks fine, but it wouldn't turn on
Of course, that's the bad part about it is you never know
until
that
you're in the
until
middle
you're
of it. Yeah.
ready to use it.
Yep. So I reached out to their customer service and I said, hey, this is the second board that I've bought, that I've gotten from you guys, and it won't turn on. And I was fully expecting them to go, yeah, we're a bigger company now. We don't care about you. You just deal with it. Or saying, yeah, you can buy the new board for $180, whatever they were going to say. And they didn't. They just wrote me back and said, hey, we're going to send you a new board. We have found that these boards don't do well around moisture. And I'm like, oh, you mean like rain and humidity
And a grill being
and a
outdoors.
grill being outdoors? And they were like, we suggest you try to keep it under a grill cover when not in use, or if you can, put it in a garage or, shed or something like that. Are you kidding me?
Rolling it back and forth to the garage is not going to happen.
No,
It's
but
too heavy. There's no
I
way.
can put a grill cover
You
over
can
it.
put a grill cover over
Yeah.
it, but there's no way that you can get it down the steps by yourself from the back deck, and I can't help you. It's too heavy.
No. So, anyway, I have a new board now. They didn't charge me anything. So
Please order a cover before you put the new board in.
thank you, Gorilla Grills, for the new board, and I will try to make sure I use this grill cover religiously so that I don't have to go through this anymore. And
We're
hopefully
not.
this one hooks up.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that if this board does not last a year, then we need to maybe possibly look at a different type of pellet grill.
Maybe.
I don't know that I want to. I asked this question last weekend when we had trouble with
Yeah.
it. My question was, if you had to buy a new grill, would you go back with a pellet grill? And your comment to me was,
if you want your fish, your salmon tasting the same way, then yes, we're gonna have to get another pellet grill.
And I'm all for that.
Right. Because the pellet grill cooks it low and slow, and I can regulate it. And
there's no doubt about the fact that the food that you have cooked on this pellet grill has been 100 times. I'm not that it was ever bad on the gas grill, but this is a whole different ball game of the way the meat tastes cooked on this grill.
I agree. Now, I did say that if I had to do it over again, I would probably go with a cabinet smoker, just because I feel like I could cook more on it and take up less space. And that may be true. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to do some measuring and thinking about it. I'm just hoping
this new board with a.
I'm hoping this fixes it.
Yes,
yeah.
And you get a nice grill cover. Yeah. Then we look up this time next year and this thing's still rolling right along. That would be great.
And I'm happy with their customer service.
You buy your pellets from them.
Yep, I buy my pellets from them. They've been great.
It's easy. You just order 100 pounds and they deliver it all at one time. You store them somewhere dry. That's been working great ever since you figured out that part of it.
And I got a little special Tupperware thing with a cat litter scooper that I can get the dust out, and I clean it out after the cook to make sure there's no pellets that can get moisture in them. And it's been great. It works fine. But get this board figured out and I'll be okay. That's the only thing I got to figure out.
Yeah.
So maybe I got a bad one. I don't know. Maybe it was all the rain. We have a lot of rain lately.
Yes, we have.
So.
Yes, it's unseasonably wet.
Yeah.
Although everybody's yard's pretty green, and you're having to cut grass.
And high drainage. We hear people
twice a week.
Twice a week, yeah. I just cut grass. I cut it again today. I didn't weed eat today. I just and I was like, the weeds are all waving at me. This is making me odd. Look at all the neighbors' yards. I'm like, I gotta go. But yeah. So anyway, so this is the Stuff I Heard podcast, and I would like to talk about one thing that people should watch that I'm watching right now. We can talk about it again next weekend. Is on Amazon Prime. It's called Outer Range. It has Josh Brolin as a cowboy, and there's a how do I say this? There is a sci-fi element to it that has to do with time travel. So check it out, and we'll talk about it. Okay?
Yeah, next week you can do it by
next week. I'll do all nerdy stuff without, because my wife would be like, "You just nerd out without me." I'll just be in here doing my own thing. But anyway, thank you for being part of the podcast.
Always.
You're the best thing that's ever happened to me in this podcast. As long as you
think so, I don't care what everybody else thinks.
She is my assistant, my editor, my producer.
I am not your co-navigator in a car. Not because you fuss at me, because you don't. It's because I do. I know I'm not adequate at it, and I definitely would not have been any use at all.
Listen,
on this last trip.
You and Lori helped me out a lot at the airport. I mean, I had a hard time seeing all of the signs. There was so much to look at. And I was like, am I looking at this right? Does that say? I mean, it does help to have another set of eyes to help you navigate some of that stuff.
Yeah,
So.
but I will have to say, you had one female sitting in the passenger seat and one female sitting in the back seat, going on their phones, telling you where they thought you needed to be at the Atlanta airport, and you navigated that like a champ. I will give you 100% credit for that.
It's almost like I've got
It's
experience.
almost like you've got experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are definitely a lot more patient driving than the average person. That's why you drive.
Yep. So
Thank
you
you,
everybody.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you everybody for listening and watching on the YouTubes. We appreciate it. If you guys can see the YouTube, I got a bunch of Legos here in the background now, so you can see the boxes that are going to be built.
Yeah, you got to get to work on those.
Well, chop chop. I mean,
well, next weekend we got some downtime next week.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
We're
going to fill it all up.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
We're having a nice.
We're going to see grandkids. We're going to
do that most.
We're going to see Mama probably.
But
we're going to grill with our fantastic grill.
There you go. See if that board works.
Works by next weekend.
But we've got friends that are our friends are out of town next weekend, so I hope we'll probably have a little bit of a chill weekend.
I hope
so too.
I need a chill weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a busy weekend.
This was a busy weekend.
And today's a busy day. Yeah. What you don't see is the whirlwind of laundry that's being done as we're doing the podcast.
And it's Sunday evening. We normally have finished the stuff. I mean, I normally do that Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're running a little behind.
Yeah. So,
but we'll go back to work tomorrow and start all over again.
The wheels on the sky keep on turning. All righty.
I was thinking the wheels on the bus go round and round.
That too. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you everybody for listening and watching, and if you can, please remember to give us a thumbs up and a like and a share and all that fun stuff. And I always end this by saying,
"Cue the cow, baby."
Cue the cow, moo, baby.